Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. Welcome, everybody, to Dave Cooper Live, where we showcase the people, the products, and the processes, helping us all build it better. And today we're going to ask, are you ready for the new standard of excellence? If you are running towards the future of construction, but not entirely sure you are ready or prepared for the convergence of traditional site-built construction and off-site manufacturing, you'll want to check this newly launched data-driven performance assessment tool, a tool that teams hopes will bring clarity to the vision that is industrialized construction. So today we welcome Melissa McEwen and Sally Meitzel, two of the three co-founders and principals of ICG, Industrialized Construction Group, as they introduce the Industrialized Construction Maturity Assessment tool. But first, before we do that, we have to have a word from our sponsors. Stream Modular, the only logistics company you need to transport your mods, pods, and panels. Our friends at Stream Modular are investing $50 million over the next 25 years to build the technology, solutions, and trailers needed to handle and transport the projects of today and meet the demands of tomorrow. Reach out to their team at streammodular.com to discuss your next project. CombiLift is the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers, a leader in long load handling solutions, offering a free warehouse and site optimization design service. CombiLift helps companies of all sizes and from every industry maximize the capacity, safety, and efficiency of their warehouse and storage facilities. A big thank you to Paul Short and the team at CombiLift for helping us all to build it better. Visit them at combilift.com. Ready to scale up your offsite construction business? Introducing 4A Constructs, your solution to finding skilled labor for offsite manufacturing. Say goodbye to the headache of recruiting a skilled workforce with hand-selected certified tradesmen that are expertly trained and managed for offsite manufacturing, set crews, and finish crews, ensuring maximum productivity and safety. Unlock the future of skilled workforce development for all of your offsite construction needs. Visit them at 4aconstructs.com. All right, again, thank you to all of our supporting members. We cannot continue to bring you all these informative conversations without them. So, without further ado, let's bring on Sally and Melissa to the show. Hey, how you guys doing today?
Hi, great. How are you?
We're doing amazing. We're doing amazing. So, First of all, thank you so much for joining us on the Dave Cooper Live Show and launching, and I say launching, this new product in our industry. It's not new, it's been around, but you guys have brought it to market here, and we're going to showcase it on Dave Cooper Live. But first, Melissa and Sally, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff, or we will call your mother and have them on the show. But you guys only have a couple minutes to do that. Melissa, let's start with you.
Trust me, you do not want my mother on the show, Dave. I was born and raised in Bangor, Maine. I am a Mainer through and through. I think Mainers are blunt, pragmatic, and down to earth, and that definitely describes me. I live in the mountains of New Hampshire now in a house full of boys and animals. And my path to construction, like many guests on this show, was a bit roundabout. I am a geologist and engineer by way back training. I worked on a research lab and lived at sea months and months and months at a time. And it was actually my desire to spend more than 6 months on land a year that led me into construction, fell in love with it, been here for 20 years. And really started on a lean journey about 25 years ago. And that's kind of what leads me to where I am today.
You got to be kidding me. You lived on a boat at sea doing research?
Off the coast of Antarctica. I was in the middle of the Indian Ocean for 2 months straight in the same spot, even.
Oh my God, I'm getting seasick I'm just getting seasick talking to you. All right, Sally, that's a hard one to follow. No pressure, though.
It really is. It really is. So I was born and raised in the South, Birmingham, Alabama, if you can't tell by the accent and the big hair that I have in the South. Chemical engineer from University of Alabama. Spent the first almost 10 years of my career in the chemicals industry, getting really deep into Lean Six Sigma, multivariable testing, statistical process control. Really got into understanding like how you could measure, how you could improve things, how you could track things. Transitioned into being a consultant in various industries using the same tools and techniques that I used and learned in the chemical industry, put those to work in telecommunications, oil and gas, and eventually into construction. So the first construction industry company that I worked for is a GC firm here in Birmingham. They hired me on originally as a consultant to work with them to bring lean tools and techniques to some of their construction projects, specifically in the healthcare industry. And so then they hired me on as a full-time employee working with them as a lean advocate. So that's where I was kind of dipping my toe into industrialized construction and learning how I could take everything I'd learned throughout my career and apply it into construction. So one of those projects that I worked on was how do we increase the efficiency of modular installations across multiple projects? So how do we learn and improve every time we did that? And one of those products that we were installing were blocks products. And I thought, wow, this is really cool what they're doing. I want to learn more about blocks. I ended up getting a job there, worked for them. And that was really, I got deep into the practical application of IC at blocks. So I managed process improvement engineers, process engineers that were responsible for the manufacturing area, quality engineers while there. We created field install playbooks for how to install the different products that we had. We designed and launched a new building there. So you guys are familiar. You guys went to visit them recently. So the new building, 500,000 square feet of manufacturing space. Our team helped to develop and build standard work, a lot of different things that we implemented while we're there. So all of the things that we're going to be talking about and that we measure with the ICMA, so our Industrialized Construction Maturity Assessment, we practically lived through and did while we were there at Blocks. So, and now I joined this crazy team, Melissa and Nick. And
she lived on a boat. She is crazy.
I know. Yeah.
It wasn't a cruise ship.
No.
Yeah.
Converted Gulf Coast drill rig ship, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Well, listen, all right. Your backgrounds both say, hey, we are super smart people. We're doing super smart stuff in the world. And then you guys have found the opportunities to come into the industrialized construction space, right? Sally, you were talking about your experience with blocks and the things you had to do. And we were just at blocks. And I mean, it's a huge production facility of what they have going on. How did ICG come together? Where did you start seeing the gaps? Whose idea was it? Let's jump into like how you two and the rest and your other partner who's not with us decided, hey, we need to do something here, and why? And were you drinking when you did it?
We were not, that I recall. So I think I mentioned, right, we're all lean people. We've applied lean in various places. And it was probably about 8-10 years ago, as we started to see what was happening with more and more work shifting off site. We realized, wow, this is actually a chance to get lean out of the project management side of construction and start to actually focus on the production and the manufacturing side. So at that time, we were consultants inside an engineering company. And we said, wow, we're going to pivot entirely to focus on helping support and enable this moment in construction because we're so passionate about it. Mm-hmm. And so we shifted our focus entirely to that. And we started working downstream really with mainstream trade contractors who were trying to elevate their performance in their fab shops. And we recognized that we could take our traditional construction teams and consultants that we had and pair them with folks like Sally and Stephen and Colton, a couple of other members of our team who had lived it on the manufacturing and offsite production side. So we brought those two together. Mm-hmm. And kind of dove right in doing plant layouts and work cell design. And that's when we really started to realize, oh, the whole system around this has to change for it mm-hmm. to work. And so that kind of led us to the creation of this maturity assessment, because we realized it wasn't just about how great you were at fabrication. That helps, right. But it's not enough.
So with that said, how big is your team right now?
We are 5 people and a host of partners that we rely on to help us when we get too busy.
Yeah, a host of partners. I know some of those partners. So and so that's amazing. All right, let's get into it. ICG. Tell us a little bit about what the group is. Here I am, and I'm an offsite contractor. And for those of you watching, by the way, we're going to show you some slides. We're going to show you some video. You're going to get a real in-depth look at what these tools do and how they work. So just bear with us. What is ICG? What do you do? Where does the value come from? Because you're not a mainstream contractor, right? You're not a mainstream fabricator. You are here to help people figure out how they can be better, is what I'm understanding.
Yes,
absolutely. Excellent. You want to take that, Sally?
Yeah, so we start with, as Melissa mentioned, what's your current state, right? So we've got this really robust data-driven system, our Industrialized Construction Maturity Assessment, which Melissa will walk through here in a bit. And so that's where we start. We're like, where are you? What's your current state? Where are your gaps? We create a report. We come in and say, you know, this is where you are. Here's where you could be. Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourselves? And we make a lot of recommendations based off of that information that we gather. It's a very, very in-depth analysis and assessment of your current system. We interview a ton of people as we go through it. And then once we make those recommendations, it's like, okay, what's next? And that's where the construction manufacturing system comes into play. And we're going to show a little bit of that at the end here. And that's where we can come in and say, okay, so you want to look at a new plant layout. You want to look at buying a new piece of equipment. You know, how do you launch that? Are you going to get a return on investment? Are you going to get back everything that you put into it? How are you going to recognize all of those gains as you start to mature as well? So those are some of the other things we see. We can do supplier scorecards. So say you're an owner out there and you're trying to figure out, you know, how do I go out and pick a new modular company to work with us? Or I need someone that can help me install. We can create a supplier scorecard, look at all these different people or companies that you want to work with and say, okay, where are they? Where do they need to be to work with you guys? And where are their gaps? And, you know, how can they improve too? So there's lots of different things that we can do. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So, you know, with the tools, like, I mean, you have a background in lean manufacturing, right? I think you said 6 Sigma, 1020 black belt degree and all the other stuff, right? Yeah. What makes this tool different than other tools that are out there currently on the market and other people that are out there on the market? What is, and then we're going to hop into your presentation, but I really want to know what separates you from the rest.
I think one of the things that separate us from the rest, and I hope as we scale and grow, we can stick to this, is the diversity of backgrounds and perspectives that we bring, and also the diversity that we look at. The ICMA is a whole systems assessment tool. So assessments aren't new. Other industries have them. Manufacturing uses them. World-class companies, world-class industries use assessments of performance. And in construction, it felt like everyone we were working with was trying so hard to get to this unknown finish line. And so I think what differentiates this is it's a really robust, specific, data-driven look at performance. It looks at what things that are these long-standing, tried and true systems in construction that we need to change. Simple things even about how you do project management, what your sales looks like. Oh, our metrics are this. Traditional estimating looks like that. And this industry's been around for hundreds of years. And part of the reason it's maybe stuck or stayed the same is we haven't changed the whole system or acknowledged that the whole system needs to change. So we think that's what makes us different, is that it's specific and robust, but it is a whole systems view. So you can get a scorecard as an owner that says, you know what, my RFPs aren't asking for the right things, and.
And to Melissa's point earlier, like it looks at your management systems, your culture. Are you ready? You know, there are a lot of things that have to be true for this to work, not just the fab shop. So it's got to look at the entire system. And that's what this assessment does. It looks at the entire system, you know, your design, what you're looking at, are you working with the right partners? So how do you improve your supply chain as well? Like looking outside of just your internal company.
I love it. You said it looks at culture, right? So I say this all the time in the show. The best performing companies that are out there have the best culture. Yeah. They have the buy-in of everybody that's pulling in the same direction. And that's what makes and allows them to become so successful in the marketplace. So you're saying that you're taking tools that have been used in other industries that you both have been working in for all of these years that already look at these things and saying, all right, well, we may be looking at lean manufacturing and offsite, but you're taking it a step further and say, well, it's more than that, because we need to know how all of these different areas, to include culture, talks, and you can assess all that.
Yep, absolutely. And we're not, other people do this, right? So we're big fans of the Shingo model. It is a organizational effectiveness model, and many manufacturers aspire to win Shingo awards. Culture and behaviors and systems are as much a part of it as how great they are at their manufacturing process. So we took the best of those things, put them in the language of construction and the systems that were already at play, so we could recognize where we were starting and what the future could look like.
So you took the best of everything and said, you know what, we're going to take this to the industrialized construction space so they can use it as well. I love it. Let's hop into the presentation.
Yep.
All right. So this maturity assessment is sort of our foundational thing. And for us, it was simply a matter of, why wouldn't people want a standard for excellence? Why would we not want to know what great looks like? Like, what if we were already there? Or what if we were working really hard at the wrong things? So having this standard of excellence that brings together modular with traditional trade contractors, with traditional general contractors, and says, this is the system that will deliver results, is what we had in mind. So it's very robust. It's built around 6 disciplines. These 6 disciplines you see here on your screen. There are 70 topics and 5 levels of performance. So this is kind of a scratch the surface view of it, but it looks at things like, are we developing the right skills for the future? If I'm a mechanical contractor, if I'm an electrical contractor, am I hiring and training and teaching just for the amazing craft skills, because we need those? Or am I building these other skills that are required? Some of these manufacturing terminology skills, thinking about design, how do we do product development and prototyping? There are 5 levels of maturity that we have depicted here. And, you know, from sticking a toe in the water, there are still people just sticking their toe in the water of offsite construction, right? To world-class excellence, regardless of the industry, whether you're aerospace or automotive or construction, the standards of performance really should be the same. Where we think we are right today as an industry, and we'll get into this data in a second, is a lot of people are hovering between level 2 and level 3.
Mhm.
Even people that have been at this a long time, their manufacturing skills may be great, but because all the other business systems around them haven't changed, it's holding them back from kind of getting to that next level.
Mhm.
So this is kind of our industry average today, and we'll dive into that a little bit. So it looks across the 6 disciplines, and I'm just going to toggle over. Dave, can you take me over to our database?
Yeah, absolutely, I can.
And then we can come back to this and show a few results.
So this is a live demonstration now. We're out of a PowerPoint or a presentation. You're now in a live mode.
Yes, but we are not
So you
seeing.
can
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me,
That's okay.
did I do the wrong one here? Grrr. That one.
That's
That one. That's the one.
I was
That's
not
it.
sure how to toggle. All right. So this is just a depiction right now of the industry's current state for those we have assessed. But it looks across our 6 disciplines. And it shows, like I said, we're really still at the emerging, changing our systems. We haven't reached level 3, which is where I think we start to get the transformative business results, the profit, the schedule benefits that will tip us over the tipping point here to really having industrialized construction become the way construction works. And you can see, for example, we'll toggle around in here. I'm not toggling the right screen. There we go. If I look just at our modular builders, as you would expect, their performance is much higher in manufacturing and design than if I toggle over to the electrical industry, right? Who they're newer to this. They're running kitting operations. They're learning these skills. So the assessment looks holistically across these 6 disciplines, and then it goes deeper. So we started to think about these core competencies that enable successful industrialized construction. So things like seeing and solving problems. What is our capacity to learn fast, not continue to learn the same lessons over and over again? It looks at the leadership and strategy of our company. It looks at how well we do with supply chain integration. Right now, I think I'm toggled on, this is the industry average, right? Modular builders have been at this for a long time, right, Sally? So they're ahead in supply chain integration.
Yeah, for it to work for them, they have to reach out and change the way the supply chain interacts with them. So whether that's their downstream customers that they're working with or their upstream suppliers, as far as how material is brought in. So their standardization is higher in what they're producing, which means what they can bring in more on a replenishment system, which would be more like manufacturing lean than buying everything off by project, right? So it's like starting to really standardize the flow of materials too and how it's delivered.
And then you can toggle down even deeper. And this is where we can look at some company specific results and some supply chain scorecards here. But for us, the feedback we've been getting from the marketplace is this is really helpful. If I really want to know how great I'm doing, I've been investing a lot. I'm going to just toggle off here. I've been making huge investments in my material planning and logistics. Am I getting benefit for those things? Am I moving the needle? So companies are having us use this as a health check. So they'll come back in, we'll score them at the beginning, they'll do some work, and they'd expect to see the needle move. So you can filter by different core competencies. We have it set to filter by topics. Do you want to really understand how you're doing just on safety, for example? There's a whole host of things built in here, and we can toggle across industries. Do I just want to know where I stack up against other modular builders? So that's kind of the assessment in a nutshell, Dave. And we can kind of share some of the other ways we've used it.
And the other thing about this too, that I think, we don't necessarily share with a lot of people, but the criteria 1 to 5 for every topic is defined. So it's like, if you're a 1, this is what it means. If you're a 2, this is what it means. So it's not like we just go, you kind of feel like you might be like a 4. No, it's like, if you're a 4, this is what we're saying. Like a level 4 is at this, as far as how these topics goes. It's well defined. It's very data driven.
So here I am. I'm a manufacturer. I'm watching the show right now, and I'm saying, all right, so you have this assessment tool. and I say, all right, well, Melissa and Sally, I like you. How do I get an assessment of my company? I need help. I've been trying to ramp up. I'm not seeing the success of ramping up. I feel like, I don't know where I'm missing something. What are you guys going to do for me? How's it going to work? Walk me through this.
You want to do it, Sally?
Go ahead, Melissa. You got it.
So first, reach out, give us a call, hit us up on our website.
Right.
And it's really not hard. So we have a kickoff intake call with you. We kind of get some basic information about your goals, the size, scale of your company, where you're located, depending on, are you a single company production facility, or are you a trade contractor or drywall contractor with 3 different production facilities? It takes anywhere from maybe 2 to 4 days. So it's actually still hands-on and in-person, Dave. We go to where the work is happening. We spend time both talking to people, interviewing people. We are really curious and good at teasing things out of people. We do a lot of direct observation. We also ask for and pull from existing data companies are collecting, but that's one of the things that we see more as in our future. Right now, when we ask for certain data, we can't get it. What's your TAC? Can you send us your rate of demand? What's your production control system look like? And depending on where people are in their maturity, right? A lot of people can't tell us, send us, give us that information. So we have to go and observe. So it's hands-on. It takes anywhere from 2 to 4 days. We also insist on seeing install. So we want to see the product installed. So we'll go out to a job site and observe. That often leads us back in to finding out things about performance. Like, an anecdote we hear all the time is, oh, our defect rate is like, less than 2%. It comes out of the shop and it's perfect. And then we're out in the field and they're like, oh, well, yesterday I did this. Yeah. Taking it apart, putting it back together.
Yeah.
So we want to see the whole system, and that includes leadership, management, the C-suite, all those operations. So that's how it works.
We embed ourselves in, so we want to, if we come in, if you're having regular meetings, like if you're having your safety meeting or your leadership meeting, we would rather sit in and listen. We get way more out of that than just asking people questions, because we can hear the interactions and see what's going on. So we really want to sit in and just kind of be a fly on the wall as much as we can when we come in and do the assessment.
So, all right. So you come in, you do the assessment. I get my report card, right, so to speak. And then where do we go from there? What are you going to come in and say, well, listen, your culture sucks. Everybody hates working here. Is that what you do? Or do you come in and say, well, your supply chain's broken because the field has no idea what the factory does, and factory has no idea what the field does, and they can't understand why we're always off an inch here. Right.
Yep.
So so what happens next?
It is a little bit of both. If you want to put on, we can click over to the deck and right to slide 5. But what you described, Dave, is we do say we're kind of a loving bucket of cold water. It is what the industry needs right now. So if we are finding great cultural misalignment, right? I can't understand why we're not getting the results we wanted. We're all in on prefab. We've invested in it. Well, half your company doesn't believe in it. Or people aren't on board with it, or you haven't done a great job sort of transmitting that information through the system so that people understand the why. So it is a loving bucket of cold water. If you're a company, this is just like a subset, we will give you your score, very specific takeaways that are really, really specific and customized to you. And this usually happens in a workshop. So we don't just mail you a report card like we might to my child, but rather we sit down and have a working session.
The parent-teacher conference.
It is the parent-teacher conference version. Nice, Sally.
I'm familiar with those.
We get very specific. We make it real for people. So often what we hear from fab shop leaders or people more in the trenches is, I have trouble telling my story. I'm having trouble getting my leadership team to act on some of my recommendations. And so sometimes it just is helpful to have an outside perspective on that. So we'll give very specific pictures into things. This happens to be a manufacturing example, and I think this is an electrical contractor. We also will give recommendations, like quick wins, things you could do without help from any other consultant.
Yes.
Just make the difference. Another way that the ICMA is being used is by owners who are recognizing maybe I should set a performance standard or be better at clarifying my expectations. So this is how the ICMA can be used as a supplier assessment tool. And this one was really interesting for Sally and I. Will kind of tick through it because it really is all about what is the right thing for the situation you're facing. So we did this assessment. We picked a subset of the 70 topics and that mattered to this owner and their program, and what they were trying to achieve. And they didn't pick the highest scoring supplier because the supplier didn't have the right product for them. But what they were able to do with our help is understand the risks and the gaps that they needed to close with the supplier they had, rather than finding that out mid contract. So, this was a snapshot of our look across these 5 suppliers. This was the target that the owner had set for these topics. Based on our criteria, we gave them a deep look into it, and they were able to say, well, this is what the required performance is going to be for us to succeed in this complex program. And now they understood the gaps to getting there. There's a much more in-depth version of this. So those are kind of 2 ways that people are using it. And then when you get your scorecard, you probably are going to need some help. Of course, you're going to need help. Everybody needs a coach. This is uncharted territory for a lot of the mainstream construction industry. And so that's where, on our end, Sally and her team come in to help. What are the things you need to get better, and how can we help you?
Yep.
Got it. So when we look at the services you guys offer, right, and when you come in after the assessment, right, so you have the assessment and benchmarking tool, and then you also now get into like fixing the processes that you find are broken. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All the way through developing, not managing, but developing, designing manufacturing facilities. Yes.
So construction manufacturing solutions that we can come in and do. One example that we have, so one of the things that we've realized in the construction industry is that people in construction are very hands-on, right? Like a lot of people that are in this industry, they like to build things and create things and make things. And they're very visual and want to understand how things come together. And so for us, one of the things that we've realized through this is that to get them to see things differently, we had to make it visual, right? So one of the things that we've brought into is discrete event simulation modeling, which has been used a lot in manufacturing, but not so much on the construction side yet.
Right.
And so we started using this product called FlexSim. And you have a video if you want to throw that up there. So one of the things that we do, and if you just want to, I guess I can pause it just for a second, is just show one, like if we're going to lay out the space for you, it's not about where all the equipment goes. That's part of it, right? But it's more about understanding utilization of the space in a manufacturing line and looking at it from a single piece flow and how you're going to set it up to create the product that you're going to build. And one thing that this does is make it visual, right? So we can see when we talk about different stations and how you're going to break the work out and do you need sub-assemblies, we can physically show them how it's going to flow. Not only that, we can show them what their throughput can be. So do you need to produce 1 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day? What's your demand? Help them understand what's driving that. How do we break out the work so you can get and meet that demand? And then how do you see what your labor is going to be? So if I want to get 1 versus 3, what does that do to my labor? It's not going to triple it. It might make it 1.5 times what you would need. And it starts to show where your inefficiencies are, and then where you need to focus your effort. So this really gives people that other data set where they can see and understand where their gaps are in their manufacturing facility. So it does a deeper dive into that. And then the other thing you can see kind of on the right-hand side here is there's a lot of robust data that comes out of the system as well. So you can see that middle one shows your operator state. So this shows utilization of your different operators on the line. So you can see plumber 2, a little less utilized than plumber 3, right? So there we can add some work to him potentially, right? Or not, just depending on where we are. Again, the utilization at the very bottom is by station. So if we look at it, this is the work content that's happening in that station. And you could see, sealant, maybe we could move some work into there because it's not being fully utilized in the time allowed on the manufacturing line. So there's just a lot of things here that we can see, data that can be gained from it as far as like running it that you can understand. We've used this for a client previously that was like, hey, look, here's how we're planning on producing this product. And we're like, great, we'll put that in the system, see what comes out. And then let us make a few tweaks on how we think maybe you could change some things to make it more efficient. And in doing that, we're able to show them, here's how you originally were going to do it. Here's how you could gain some efficiencies and what the difference that made in the labor. And we were able to cut their labor cost per unit by a third, just by the way we laid it out, the way we broke out the work, and then could show it in the model, right? And because it is data driven, the more data we have, the better the model is, right? So the more we can start to get information, the more we can do time studies, the more we understand the standard work of how things are put together, the better that this model and the system is going to be. And so that's just one of the tools that we use that right now, I'm not sure anybody else in the construction industry is using, but I think it's very helpful, helping people be able to see how things could be done differently.
Sure.
Yep. Sally, I think said something so important there, Dave. Like we're using this both for companies starting up sort of stable, singular production facilities in a location, but also there's a lot of, near site, off-site production facilities popping up where I want to train the workforce. So I'm going to set up a near-site warehouse. We're on a mission to eliminate that word because warehouses are where you store things, not where you produce things. Yeah. But they're setting up warehouses and creating bathroom prod lines, or we're going to do a wall panel line temporarily. And we've been able to use this tool to bring a manufacturing mindset to that production so that we're not just stick building it under a roof. Yes, you get some efficiencies that way, but you're really narrowing the benefit you can get if you don't change anything else about your means and methods. Yeah. And this is right. It's hard to argue with it. People are like, oh, I see why you suggested that thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're getting the data.
300 hours short on labor. Great.
And we're getting a lot of the startup data from them. It's like, this is your data. It's not like we're just making up how long it takes to, it's telling me this is how long it takes. And now we're going to measure it, right? We're going to confirm, with time studies, that's how long it takes. So it's like, we're going to take your data, your information, put it in here, and then show you this is what you could get. This is what you could do differently, the gains you could get from it. So
with it, it's really the methodology and the processes of this system that are being used in other industries that has given you a step above the rest with this, because you've incorporated and built a tool around offsite manufacturing that speaks not only on the front end, but also the back end delivery, set, finish. And you're able to put metrics to all of that and then start communicating it's really a full suite solution from front end. Yes.
Yeah. And I think for us, the benefit, we want more and more people to come into this system, not actually for us, but because the more robust data we get in here, the more we'll be able to start to tamp down the conversation of, are the benefits there? Is it really more cost effective? Right. We need a more robust data set to start to just chip away at that conversation and bring more data-driven performance to mainstream construction, because
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so is there a focus just on mainstream construction, or are you focused on existing, or are you also focused on the mainstream, just construction industry overall?
Both. The magnitude of the challenge we're facing, whether you look at healthcare, bringing healthcare closer to people that need it, or housing, is so enormous. So for us, it's about shifting the industry as a whole. The mainstream industry is so big. They have to be part of this transformation, right? We cannot start up enough modular and panelized new companies to meet the demand. nor I don't think we should have to, right? The labor workforce, the knowledge, the relationships that exist in the traditional mainstream construction, like this is an exciting time to transform that. So I would say our focus is more on that, helping the mainstream construction industry make this shift. But that said, we are working with plenty of, panel producers, right? Who are
people that are already in the industry.
Yeah,
it's those new skills, that need to be learned and utilized to make this work. And so understanding what do you do today, but what are you going to do in the future? It's that from to, it's like when we're going to grow, how we grow, and then how do we transform? Yeah.
Is there hope for the mainstream construction industry to get their act together and help us build better? Is there truly hope?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so.
They have to. I mean, look, I mean, we got a mess out there right now.
Yeah, we do.
But there's tons of hope. I mean, there's tons of anecdotal hope that we could share. And there are amazing people out there doing great things. Each and every one of our customers deserves a shout out for what they're trying to do. But now we also, I think, have the data to support that. So we do have companies using the ICMA as a health check. And I can tell you, they are moving the needle in their performance. They are getting better. The tech is there now, right? The design is advancing. I personally think it's never been a more exciting time to work in construction. And I think there's a lot of hope to bring new people into the industry because of this new way of working. So tons of hope.
I love it. I love it. Let's go to a couple comments. You guys ready for this?
Oh,
we have some books out here. Henry wrote a book. I'm going to have to read this one.
Oh, Henry.
Sorry, DC, I can't abridge this question. The only reason that I was getting any buy-in traction, they let me assess them from IC manufacturers when I was doing similar objective and subjective criteria assessments. Albeit, that's his favorite word, by the way. It's the hardest word for me to say. We used 97 criterion, was because it was requested to do it by a big hotel player. Essentially, I was setting and weighing methodology on my own making. What are you doing? What you are doing is brilliant, but what's going to provide the desperately needed tipping point to define your solution?
So, Henry, we are glad you asked that. It was a mouthful, but you got through it brilliantly, Dave.
Thank you.
And so it's interesting, Henry. We actually do think that we need owners to be doing just what you described. So that, large hotel chain, the large producer of student housing that we were alluding to at the beginning of this call, we do need owners to step up and drive this. We also think the industry needs to come forward with a standard. NECA, MCAA, AGC, the kind of the mainstream thought leaders of the industry, we would love for them to raise their hand and take ownership of this and say, yes, we need a performance standard for the industry. Like, we're ready to put it out there and have them be using it. And I think what at least gives us hope is maybe people are ready to ask for help. I don't know, maybe just time has led us there. Like, we are seeing people raise their hand and say, I know I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. So if you tell me this assessment will help me get unstuck, okay, because I really believe that I can get transformative business results, but I don't know how to get unstuck. And I don't know if that's just a factor of time that we are starting to feel that pull.
Well, you got to get unstuck. There's no choice. If somebody's feeling stuck, it sounds to me they should be reaching out to you. Greg Ugaldi says, great show today, DC Live, with Dave, Sally, and Melissa discussing a data-driven scorecard. Greg Ugaldi is the past chair of the National Association of Home Builders, and even to this day updates the president and secretary of housing on housing issues. So, Greg.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Always great to see you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. He always tunes in. He's always listening, which is super cool, right? Love it.
Absolutely. Bring the assessment to NAHB. We'd love it.
Yeah.
That's right. There you go, Greg. Open up the NAHB's wallet. That's probably like getting into Fort Knox. That's a big organization right there to have to go through. Joe Hutchins says, Henry Mickelberg, I thought you could answer that. Why is the CIH not doing this today? The little banter going back. I don't know if you know Joel and Henry, but they are prominent folks in our industry with big brains, bigger than mine anyhow. Jennifer says, Joel Hutchins, yes, Construction Innovation Hub. Hopefully Trudy Solly or Jamie Johnson could chime in. Yeah, so cool. We'll tag them. I don't know if you know Trudy Solly or Jamie Johnson, but you should. Another two super smart people that are out there. So love it. And you can find the Construction Innovation Hub on our channel. We've done a few shows with them. We've done a few shows with Jamie as well from Bryden Woods. So, all right, listen, did we not cover anything? Is there something I didn't talk about? Did I leave anything out to the imagination? What did I forget that you want to make sure we know before we wrap this up?
I think, for Sally and I, there's so much, we don't want people to just know about the assessment. Like there's help out there. That some of this is just basic training and bringing some new and exciting fundamental skills into construction to go with the skills already out there. So you can get this training and then move the needle yourself. You don't need consulting help forever. You don't need 100 different new forms of tech, though those things are great, but just build some new skills, stabilize and bring some fundamental processes, and people will succeed.
And I think that's the other thing too, Melissa, is that a lot of people have tried and failed, and some of that is because they just try to take these tools and techniques that they've learned in manufacturing and just plug them in, and it's not that simple, right? We've got to be able to adjust and adapt and adopt these things to fit construction, right? So it's really just how to make it work for the system that we're in. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't really think about. It's like, you've got to be able to make it work for construction because it is different.
And they can learn all about it at icg.build, right?
That's right. Yep.
That's the best way to reach out to you, but you can also follow them on LinkedIn and elsewhere. Melissa, Sally, thank you so much for joining us today on Dave Cooper Live. We really appreciate you having the chance to talk about this solution. The fact that so many people are tuning in tells me that you're kind of putting your finger on the pulse, and that's a good thing.
Exciting.
Well, thanks for having us on. We really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I love it. All right, everybody, and the rest of you out there, guess what? It's Monday. That's right. What's Monday mean? That means we have 4.5 more days to keep building it better, just like they are doing at ICG. So with that said, everybody, thank you so much for watching us today. Melissa, Sally, please do not go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the show, but the rest of you, we'll see you Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.